Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fitria Afifah from Sarjana Keperawatan 2B class. My purpose today is to present about the structure of skill 7 to 10. This presentation is divided into 4 main parts. Firstly, I'd like to look at skill 7, non-closed connector. Secondly, I'll be talking about skill 8, non-closed connectors or subject. Thirdly, skill 9, adjective closed connector. And finally, I'll be looking at skill 10, adjective closed connectors or subject. My presentation is about 10 minutes. Okay, let's go to the first part. Skill 7, non-closed connectors. In skill 7, discuss non-closed or non-closed connectors. A non-closed is a form of a clause that functions like a noun, which means it can occupy a subject or object and a verb or object and preposition. Non-closed connectors have the function of connecting two sentences into a compound sentence where one of the sentences functions as an object. There are several non-closed connectors that are commonly used, such as what, when, where, which, who, whom, why, how, whether, if, whatever, whenever, and that. For example, Sally explained why she did it. Sally as subject, explain as verb, why as connector, she as subject, did as verb, and it as object. Let's now move on to slide 2. Let me give you an example. No single factor explains why blah 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 varies so greatly among individuals. A. Aging effect. B. The effect of aging. C. Aging has an effect. D. The aging effect. Why blah 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 varies so greatly among others requires a subject. The verb of the second sentence above is very. The best answer is B. The effect of aging, because the effect is plural subject and requires plural verb very. Let's now move on to slide 3. Skill 8, non-closed connectors or subject. In skill 8, we are still discussing connectors. Connectors in skill 8 are called non-closed connectors or subject. Different from skill 7, in skill 8, the connector function as liaison and subject. Connectors here have who, what, and which. For example, all told me what happened. All as subject, told as verb, me as object, what as connector or subject, and heaven as verb. Let's now move on to slide 4. Let me give you an example. Lack of clarity about blah 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 the party in the coming year will be removed at the party's compensation. A. Will it. B. Lead. C. They will lead. D. Who will lead. The sentence about blah 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 the party in the coming year requires a connector or subject and a verb. The best answer is D. Who, because who functions as a connector as well as a subject, while the verb is will lead. Let's now move on to slide 5. Skill 9, adjective closed connectors. An adjective clause is a clause that describes a noun, and because the clause is an adjective, the clause is located right after the noun being described. Although adjective clause and adjective have the same function, namely to describe nouns, their placement in sentence is different. If the adjective comes right after the noun being described, then the adjective comes before the noun being described. For example, The woman is filling the glass that they put on the table. In the example, there are two clothes. Woman is the subject of the verb filling, and she is the subject of the verb put. That is an adjective clause connector that functions to combine two clauses. An adjective clause that she puts on the table to describe noun glass. Let's now move on to slide 6. Let me give you an example. The gift blah 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 selected for the bride was rather expensive. A. Because B. Was C. Signs D. Which we. In the example, there are two clauses. Give is the subject of the verb was, and the verb selected requires a subject. An adjective clause connector is also needed because the sentence requires two clauses. Answer A and C are not correct because they only have a connector but do not have a subject. Answer B, change selected to passive verb, and the sentence will only have one subject and two verbs. So answer B is also not correct. The most appropriate answer for the example question above is D. So the sentence becomes the gift which we selected for the rate was rather expensive. In this sentence, gift is the subject of the verb was. We is the subject of the verb selected and the adjective connector which function to combine the two clauses. Okay, let's now move on to slide 7. Skill 10. Adjective clause connector or subject. In this skill, there is a who, which, and that. Connectors not only function as connectors but at the same time also function as subject. In this sentence, the subject is in front and the verb is behind, then the connecting adjective clause or subject is in the middle. So, this verb is called a modified sentence. For example, I bought the dress that was on sale, and the dress that was on sale was beautiful. The first is the normal arrangement. The second arrangement is modified. Let's now move on to slide 8. Let me give you an example. Blah 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 just dropped off a fake cake for you is my sister. A. The woman. B. The woman who. C. Because the woman. D. With the woman. In this example, you should notice immediately that the sentence has two verbs, dropped and is, and each of them needs a subject. The only answer that has two subjects is answer B. So, answer B is the correct answer. The correct sentence should say, the woman who just dropped off a fake cake for you is my sister. In this sentence, woman is the subject of the verb is, and who is the subject of the verb drop. In conclusion, I would like to say skill 7 is a noun clause connector that only functions as a liaison between two clauses including what, when, where, why, how, what, if, and that. Skill 8, non-clause connector or subject where the connector functions as a liaison and subject including who, what, and which. Skill 9, adjective clause connector including who, which, and that. Skill 10, connecting adjective clause or subject that function as a liaison and subject including who, which, and that. Thank you for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.